Cheese has been made in Portugal for thousands of years, but until recently, most of these have been available only on a seasonal basis. That's because Portuguese cheese is primarily made from ewe's milk. But things are starting to change. There's a revival of interest in traditional cheese, and I've come here to look at 4 of the finest. Portugal is the most southwestern country in mainland Europe, and until recently, also one of the poorest. This was largely due to almost 50 years of isolation under a dictatorship, which finally ended in a coup known as the Revolution of the Carnations in 1974. For more than 100 years, between the 15th and 16th centuries, Portugal was one of the richest countries in the world, thanks to the foresight of Prince Henry the Navigator and the brave exploits of explorers such as Vasco da Gama. The Portuguese maritime empire controlled lucrative sea routes from the New World of the Americas to India and China. Occupying an important strategic position between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, the Portuguese are proud of their historical links to the sea. This small country also enjoys a diverse and beautiful countryside, which is increasingly popular with tourists. The king of Portuguese cheeses comes from the highest mountain range in the country. Known as Serra da Estrela, it's produced from pure, unpasteurised ewe's milk. What makes it particularly delicious is it's still made using thistles. This rich, gooey treasure is absolutely delicious when served with crusty bread and local port.
Now, the Serra da Estrela cheese starts the peak of the production in September, when each sheep will give approximately half a litre to 750 millilitres.
Nothing. Really little, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
To learn more about it, we travel to Beira to meet the president of the local cooperative.
Há 20 anos atrás, por exemplo, esta aldeia aqui, que é Munhocala, tinha, por exemplo, 30 porteiros, hoje tem 7 ou 8.
20 years ago, this little village where we are now, it had 20 producers. Now it only has 6, but the amount of sheep is exactly the same.
Go on. Are they good? Well-behaved sheep. Ewes only lactate for a few months each year, and so cheese-making is highly seasonal and takes place during spring and early summer using milk from a flock of 200 border Lira sheep. They're a very strange-looking ancient breed who produce under a litre of milk a day. Since 1985, strict government regulations known as DOP have ensured all cheese carrying the name Serra da Estrela must be made with at least 80% border Lira ewe's milk. Salt is added to the fresh raw milk at approximately 20 grams per litre, whilst the milk is gently warmed. In this part of the world, cheese-making has always been undertaken by the women in the family, and this dairy is no exception, with Manuela taking over. And this is one reason these cheeses are so different. It's cardoon thistle pistils. It's dried and put into the milk to coagulate it, and it's been going on this way since the dawn of time. The ground thistle is carefully wrapped in cheesecloth before being washed with the milk. The thistle contains natural chymosin and works as a genuine vegetable rennet, coagulating the warm milk in less than an hour. The curd is then broken gently by hand and thoroughly mixed. The silken curds are gathered into a cheesecloth and massaged by hand to drain the whey. Once Manuela is satisfied the timing is right, the cheese is hooped and labelled and placed onto a rack to drain and firm up for approximately 12 hours. Any excess cheese round the edges is skillfully carved off before a cloth bandage is wrapped around the circumference to help maintain the shape whilst it matures over the following 40 days. All genuine cheese is marked with a denomination of origin number and certificate of authentication before it's sold. At this stage of maturation, the texture of the cheese breaks down to a delicious, soft, sticky paste. I was surprised to learn this is a relatively modern way of enjoying this cheese. And before the invention of refrigeration, soft scented cheeses were considered a fault because they were very hard to keep for long periods.
A percentagem que representa o queijo Serra da Estrela no mercado a nível de queijos, todos para as lojas gourmet.
The president explained to me that in the 20 years he's been making cheese, the number of local producers has decreased dramatically. There are now just 15 dairies making Serra da Estrela.
Where they take the cheeses, all the little producers, to the people that will certify a board, in this case, the cheese. They have no idea where the cheese comes from, and if it's not a cheese that they will think it will have quality to be a Serra da Estrela cheese, then they will not accept it as a certified cheese. So it has to have a specific aroma, specific color, specific shape, otherwise it will be just some other cheese, not a Serra da Estrela cheese.
And production varies from 10 cheeses per day to 200, depending on the size of the flocks, making this a very rare cheese indeed.
Nuno, tell me about Serpa. Where are we going? What's the next cheese?
We're on our way to Serpa. It's located exactly in the heart of the Alentejo region. We're completely surrounded by thousands and thousands of olive trees and sheep all around, which are basically the basis of this region, the agriculture.
Okay, and tell me about the cheese. What makes the cheese different? How important
Well,
is it?
this is a very, very important cheese, especially when you think of the context of the region. It is still a cheese made out of raw used milk, coagulated with the thistle, but it's the only way, or one of the few ways, that people maintain the tradition as far as cheese making is concerned in this region. Many people left the region after the dictatorship in the 70s, especially the young people that didn't want to stay behind and work just in the agricultural areas. And still, some of the elderly, they tried and struggled to maintain this tradition to produce this delicious cheese of Serpa.
Gentle slopes covered in olive and acorn trees surround the township of Serpa. This is home to another of Portugal's traditional cheeses. It's produced between February and June, and like Serra da Estrela, it's made using pure raw used milk. The curds of this cheese are set using plenty of cardoon, resulting in a firm texture and much more distinctive thistle flavour.
This is a bit like squidging scrambled egg. It's a really strange feeling. So this is the standard Serpa cheese?
Yes.
This size?
Yes.
Yeah. And when it goes a little smaller like this,
Yes.
Serpa cheese as well?
Serpa cheese as well.
So how many sizes does Serpa cheese come in?
4 sizes. They have a size is lower than this one.
Yeah.
Then we have this one, and the bigger one.
Okay, let's go and have a look at the maturation.
Sure.
Oh, lovely smell. Look at these.
This is the second phase of cure. Here we have the small one.
Yeah.
They are quite in the hand, but it's not that they're not.
So it still quite soft?
Yes, yes. This is the bigger one.
Still soft as well?
Yes, they are soft.
So this cheese is really a little bit still soft at this stage. How old would it be?
15 days,
Oh,
more or
okay.
less, no?
So how long will they stay in here?
Here, 10 days more.
Okay.
10.
What about this one down here?
This one, this
That's
is
the finished product.
Yes,
eh?
this is a finished product. Where
Okay.
this is the big one.
Yeah.
This stamp here, it's the certificate cheese. Only the certificate cheese have this stamp in the cheese. If they don't have this stamp, they aren't a certificate cheese.
And how many producers of this cheese?
Certificate cheese, 8 producers.
8?
8.
Just
only
8?
8. 8, no, sorry, 7.
Just
7
7
Seven.
producers. Amazing.
The main difference compared to its older northern cousin is its smaller size, texture and the ewe's milk. Traditionally, this cheese was made from the milk of merino sheep, who are famous for wool. They produce so little milk that today almost all Serpa cheese is made using a very productive French breed known as Le Corne. These dairy animals produce up to 5 litres of milk per day and originally come from the Larzac Plateau near Roquefort.
So what's the story with this tower?
This tower is from the castle.
Yeah.
Then they put this tower. Oh, you say watchtower?
Yeah, watchtower.
This is a watchtower from the castle.
From the castle. And what were they watching for?
And enemies.
What enemies did you have?
Arabians.
Arabians?
Arabians, I think.
Ah, the Moors.
Yes.
So this goes back to the Moors.
Yes.
So this tower was built maybe 2,000 years ago?
Probably. I don't know. It's a very old tower.
Do you eat the rind?
No.
Oh,
You,
right.
To
in the middle of it.
taste the cheese, you have only to eat the middle, the paste only.
You can.
It's very creamy.
It's very creamy, and you can just really taste that cardoon flavour in it. The thistles.
It must be.
A little bit of tang at the end. It's delicious, and it finishes with a very, very lovely, unusual flavour. Let's have a bit more.
On our way back to the capital, Nuno suggested I visit the historical township of Evora. Protected under UNESCO World Heritage listing, it boasts spectacular Roman ruins, colonial architecture, and the grotesque Chapel of the Bones.
So tell me about Lisbon.
Well, Lisbon, it's the capital of Portugal. It's definitely one of the oldest cities in Europe. It has such an interesting mixture between really old, authentic places with that European feeling of a modern capital. Straight ahead, this is one of the many monuments that we'll see in Portugal related to the Portuguese discoveries. It reminds us of the glorious past of Vasco da Gama, of Magellan, all of those heroes that brought new horizons to the world. And that's also part of the old city. You have to think that all of that wealth of the spices and ivory and silk that came from the Far East brought an immense wealth to the city of Lisbon that was used to the construction of many of the palaces that then some of it unfortunately were destroyed with 1755 earthquake.
Nuno explained the Iberian Peninsula as being called home by Phoenicians, Celts, Carthaginians, Greeks, the Romans and the Moors, and each group has contributed to the local culture.
One of the most well-known of all Portuguese cheeses comes from the beautiful island of Sao Jorge behind me. This place is blessed by the Gulf Stream. That means a mild maritime climate. Lots and lots of rainfall, deep volcanic soils, and lots of fantastic green grass, which is ideal for dairy farming. In fact, today, cows outnumber people 2 to 1.
The Azores were discovered by the Portuguese in 1427 and lie 1,500 kilometres from the mainland in the mid-Atlantic. This strategic archipelago of 9 islands once played a vital role supplying the tall sailing ships travelling to and from the New World. Sao Jorge is sometimes known as Little Switzerland because of its pristine green pastures, and the rich, creamy cow's milk produced here is exceptional. In fact, island life revolves almost entirely around turning it into the famous cheese in 8 cooperative dairies.
And this is what I've come to see, the oldest dairy cooperative in Portugal. They make Sao Jorge cheese here using the milk of 50 different farmers. And they make cheese 365 days a year.
Fresh milk is delivered to the co-op twice a day by local farmers in milk churns or small tankers. After it's been filtered into the vats, starter culture and traditional animal rennet is used to curdle it before it's cut. It's gently stirred by large metal blades, then drained and salted.
Well, this is really very different. This hand turning and breaking of the curd in order to help the curd drain is one reason why St. George cheese is very traditional in the way it's made.
Under the rules of its denomination of origin classification, Sao Jorge cheese can only be made from fresh, unpasteurised island milk. The original dairy breed of the Azores was a dark reddish colour similar to Ayrshire cows. But regrettably, these are now very rare, and black and white Friesians dominate the landscape.
After the curds have been salted with marine salt, they're put into hoops, just like this. Down here, this curd is really sort of still warm and sort of squeaky and sweet. What happens next is big weights like this here are used to force the curd down over the next 24 hours until the cheese reaches the shape of the final St. George cheese we all recognise. It's then moved to a maturation room where it stays for the next 3 months before it's graded.
The young cheeses are carefully matured between 3 months and a year, becoming drier and stronger in flavour with age. Sao Jorge is produced all year, but during the spring and early summer, milk production is at its peak. At this time of year, the cooperative produces 700 wheels of cheese a day, with continuous day and night shifts. And its ripening room holds up to 70,000 cheeses.
Now she's going to try to tell us if this is a 3 months, 4 months, or 7 months cheese.
And the answer is?
7 meses.
7 months. So we're trying the ultimate Sao Jorge cheese.
Notas assim picante.
A little bit sharp,
Yeah.
a little bit sharp, a little bit spicy. So it's somewhere between cheddar and Gouda. Yeah? It's delicious, isn't it?
It's good.
Salted cod is one of the most traditional of all Portuguese foods, and you find it everywhere. So it was no surprise to find it in a local recipe when I visited the island's small cooking school.
What's the story of the salt cod?
Well, the salt cod has been going on for a long, long time, Will. Since the Portuguese had to adventure themselves out there in the Atlantic Ocean, they started to bring mainland whatever they had, and also obviously here to the Azores. It's salted. There's no way that you can find it in Portugal, just fresh. That's the way it should be, salted like that.
Let's try this before it gets cold.
The most common one is just baked with lots of olive oil, nice olives, and some parsley.
And tell us a little about St. George, the island.
Penso que pronto, para a sua verdura, é a primeira coisa que
The green of the island is the main feature.
é bastante verde.
The color is striking when you're looking at it, and they're really proud of one of the best Portuguese cheeses, the Sao Jorge cheese.
Let's drink to St. George.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
The last artisanal used milk cheese I'm keen to find out about is made back on the mainland. It's called a zito and is traditionally made about 40 kilometres south of Lisbon. It seems only fitting that the dairy and farm buildings that I've come to visit date back more than 500 years.
500 years.
Exactly.
Wow.
Let's go to the dairy.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, go ahead. This cheese is very traditional here in Azeitão. Someone says that they come from the north, from the Serra da Estrela.
Ah, similar to that.
Yeah, similar to that. And we started in this farm many years ago to do from perhaps 90-40 about that. Yeah. And we stopped in 1990.
So why did you stop?
Because the man who make this cheese died.
Ah,
And so we stopped.
that was the end of it.
Yes, the end of it.
Yeah.
So we
Pedro, whose family owned the estate, explained that cheese production began here only a few years ago, and it requires great skill and patience. Azito is the smallest of Portugal's traditional used milk cheeses set with thistles. But just like its cousins, it's usually eaten by cutting off the top of the wheel and then scooping out the creamy centre from within. One vital ingredient in this cheese's revival has been the encouragement shown by Manuel Meyer, Portugal's leading farmhouse cheese specialist.
Why is different? Well, any cheese in anywhere from a different flora is different, but also the way they make it. There's a different fermentation also, and it ripens in a quicker way, normally between 3 and 4 weeks.
And how long has this cheese been made for?
I would say 150 to 200 years.
What's really amazed me about this trip to Portugal is that when you look at the cheeses, they're all made from raw milk. You don't make anything from pasteurised milk.
When we talk about artisanal cheeses, in fact, it's all using raw milk.
So when we try Portuguese cheeses today, they still reflect a cheese that might have been made 3, 4, 5,000 years ago.
Right. It's really nobody knows, but it's somehow is a very old tradition. It's we don't know.
I wasn't sure what to expect when I came to Portugal, but I'm really pleased by what I found. Strict controls over the use of raw milk and the use of thistle have ensured the used milk cheeses of the mainland still genuinely reflect their ancient origins, whilst my visit to the green pastures of Sao Jorge explains why this famous cheese deserves its reputation.
Well, I must say my visit to Portugal has been really interesting and a big surprise. I don't know anywhere else in Europe where you can go and try flavours of cheeses that go back to the dawn of time. What's more, the future of this country's cheese is looking very exciting indeed.
It is a
Nice one! Beautiful!
We're going hot down here. Whoa.